My name is Emilio and today I shall be presenting a proposal to Democracy for America, which is a progressive advocacy group, to donate to the campaign of Congressman Alan Grayson for re-election. So how many of you guys, and you guys are Democracy for America in this sort of situation, so how many of you guys have donated to a promising candidate only to see that candidate's campaign ruined by inefficient campaigning? This is a common problem in politics today. A good candidate arises, but a campaign is run poorly, and therefore they cannot be elected. I'm going to show why our campaign is different. So, who are Democracy for America? You guys, you're a progressive policy group founded in 2004 by Howard Dean. You guys remember him as the former Vermont governor. And a funny little personal anecdote about him, when he was chairman of the DNC in 2008, he had this proposal called the 50-state strategy, which was that they would put resources in all 50 states. And as a young boy in grade school, I used to occasionally forget to do some homework assignments, and my parents would be displeased with it, and I'd say, "Oh, why are you guys advocating for the 50-state strategy? I can just pick and choose what I allocate my resources to." But that didn't really fly, as opposed to the 50-state strategy, which did fly. You guys are a grassroots organization, and our campaign doesn't accept corporate money, so you guys are really essential for our survival as a campaign. And who is Mr. Alan Grayson? So he's a Florida congressman from the 9th District, and he was first elected in 2008 to the 8th District, actually, and which is part of like Orlando and that sort of area. But he lost re-election in 2010, but he won again in 2012 from the redistricted 9th. So that's where he is today. And who am I? I am Mr. Grayson's legislative aide / political strategist. I've worked for him for the last 6 years, and I've graduated from Yale with a law degree, similar to your guys' founder, Mr. Howard Dean. So go Bulldogs. And the agenda for today, we shall quickly go over why this campaign is run efficiently through my 3 points, which are our campaign's budget is run efficiently, our campaign strategy, and then our campaign interest. And why this is relevant to you guys as an organization is simply because Mr. Grayson shares similar political opinions and similar personal philosophical ideology as you guys do as an organization. So, we're going to go dive right into this with our campaign's budget. So, according to maplist.com, a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization, it costs $1.6 million to run for Congress, or about $2,315 each day. Now, we've decided to allocate our funds a little uniquely or differently to try and be most efficient and most effective. So first off, we're going to try and abandon traditional television and radio ads. As you guys know, the whole creation of like super PACs and massive sort of funded campaigns has led like the airways to just be like flooded with political ads, and there hits a point where you're just sort of hearing them and no longer listening. Anyone who watched television in San Luis Obispo throughout 2012 saw thousands of like Abel Maldonado and Lois Capps ads. I'm sure we all remember that, trying to watch the Giants World Series, couldn't get away from Lois Capps. So we're going to try and abandon that and focus more on sort of social media ads. And we have a specific way that we're going to film those, which is that we're going to take footage from the speeches that Mr. Grayson has done on the congressional floor and turn those into ads and have them shared onto social media sites. And there's a couple reasons for this. First off, it's cheaper because we're doing footage that's already filmed, so we don't need to produce new stuff. Second of all, if you see your friends sharing something or people that you know, you're more likely to trust it because of that ethos of being like someone that you're already well acquainted with. So that should be beneficial to us. Second of all, we're going to do as many sort of television interviews as possible because it's free exposure, and it comes across as more honest than a political ad, which whenever people, whenever the commercials come on, everyone's seen thousands of ads. You already know that they're trying to sell you that. But if it's just sort of, if it comes across as like a conversation with the viewer, it comes across as much more genuine and trustful, which are some sort of overall themes. Another sort of cool little thing that we're going to try and do is that we're going to try and hire people from the local businesses to work for our campaigns, as opposed to bringing in like slimy political operatives like Karl Rove sort of figures. We want more like, you know, the guy you've been buying bread from the last 12 years is now working on like a local campaign there, and you know, I mean, isn't that much more trustworthy to have, you know, someone you've been acquainted with for many years tell you, oh, you know, give you a suggestion? It comes across as much more genuine. And also we're going to do traditional political things such as canvassing, house parties, and phone banking, because those things have proven effective throughout the years and they're relatively cheap. So now that I've told you about our budget, I'm going to go into strategy. I believe it was former New York City Mayor Ed Koch that said, rather humorously, if you agree with me on 11 out of 13 issues, you should vote for me. If you agree with me on 13 out of 13 issues, you should check yourself into a mental hospital. So, you know, that just shows that, you know, that's the overall goal, is to convince people, you know, that you agree with us. And anytime you're running for a political campaign, you're arguing for either change versus more of the same. Those are the two sort of, you know, sides that always pop up. And even though we're an incumbent, we're going to be arguing for change. And why this is viable is due to the fact that Mr. Grayson's political ideology falls slightly to the left of the standard deviant of congressional beliefs. So that way we can still argue that, you know, we're trying to change how it works while being part of it. So that's sort of an interesting sort of dichotomy there. And this will help us appeal to the youth, because youth are more willing to accept change because, you know, they're hoping, you know, our generation can have power. You know, we want to sort of get into the fray of things. While at the same time, we can also appeal to the elderly. I mean, we're a congressman from Florida. Let's face it, the old people are going to be part of our message. And if you go on our campaign website, you can see right away that we appeal to issues sort of as like Medicare and Social Security. So we really understand our demographic. Finally, we're going to make sure to, I keep thanking you for the time, I don't know why. We're going to use the fact that we're an incumbent to our advantage, and remember that it's important as someone who's part of the House of Representatives to remember that you're always campaigning, and that we're going to make sure that we